afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever the hell you guys are located in this crazy world. It's up to you on what you want to do to make it better. And if you make it worse, well, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm Al Ditton. I'm with Underground Noise Webzine. This is Webisode number 67. Today's guest, I have the pleasure of interviewing Brett Vaughn from Brett Vaughn. That's what I know you as. Hey,
Hey, what's
Brett.
up?
Not much, man. Not much. How you doing?
Doing good. It's a nice, warm, sunny, beautiful day here in LA, which is cool. So I'm just, enjoying getting some sunshine here, and it has been for here a little bit chilly. So today feels like a significantly warmer, happier, kind of brighter day. So I'm really like just enjoying that.
That's really cool, man. On today's forecast, ladies and gentlemen, we have 30 degrees here in Macon, Georgia.
Woo. Yeah.
Supposed to get down to 15 tonight, dude.
Well, even though I'm a California boy, I did go to school in Boston, so I know the New England winter, like the brutality of that, the blizzards and the insanely cold winds and stuff. So I know what like real cold is, but you get spoiled, living in like Southern California or whatever, and then you forget what cold is. Kind of you get used to things being at a certain you know range.
Yeah,
Turns into a
talk,
baby.
yeah, I can definitely understand that. I grew up in upstate New York around, Binghamton area, below Syracuse and Rochester. And my mom told me today that it's going to get down to 1 degree tonight.
I know that's like what is it like the surface of the moon or something like that. That's what it makes me think of.
It could be.
Some
It
other type of
could be.
planet. That's what it felt like when I was in Boston going to school. It was like, and it was freezing and the winds. It's like I feel like I'm on this weird ice planet. It was just such a bizarre thing because I'd never experienced that level of cold growing up. So it's gnarly.
Yeah,
When it hits your skin and it just feels like something's like scratching or like clawing at your skin. It's really insane. So yeah, 1 degree. Ugh, I don't miss
yeah.
anything like that.
I don't either. You would think it would be warm here in Georgia, considering it's a beautiful state and it's closer to the equator, but nope,
Yeah.
on the contrary today.
hmm
So,
Yeah, one of my students is from Georgia, and he's been talking about how like it's all cold and stuff there, and like I haven't really spent a lot of time in the South, so I don't really know. I don't really know what it's like. So yeah, so it's interesting to hear because I always think that too. You think of like the South, you think of people drinking tea on the porch in the summer. You don't think about how cold it is there.
yeah, it's definitely hoodie weather.
Yeah, I like that though, right? Hoodies are nice to wear. It's cool to be in the cozy clothing.
Yep. As we were talking before, you're wearing your long sleeve Hate Eternal shirt and
Yeah,
my got my customized patch hoodie with a bunch of cool stuff on it.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's cold, so I guess I'm wearing long sleeve band shirts like pretty much every day out of the week. You know,
Yeah, I got to dig out my Gorgasm stab wound intercourse long sleeve, so
nice.
that's always a nice one to brighten someone's day with. If you're at the grocery store, they're like, "Whoa, what's that?"
Yeah, that is the funny thing about extreme metal and like just like the artwork of it and stuff. It's so like confrontational, you know,
Mhm.
and that's part of the fun, I guess. It's like people's reactions it can be really funny.
Yeah, I definitely get it sometimes from people, and I'm just like, well, I'm not a bad person. I'm not going to
Yeah,
eat your head off or anything
yeah,
like that.
right,
Sorry. I'm not going to kill your dog.
right. It's
My
just
first,
yeah, it's just like that extreme aesthetic that we're drawn to. Like I got my parents had to come have a meeting with my teacher when I was in fifth grade because I was into video games and comic books and stuff growing up, and so stuff I was drawing in class like reflected that. It was like I'm like a big fan of like X-Men and Mortal Kombat, and I'm drawing like battles and fights and stuff, and like my teacher was like, oh, I gotta talk to these parents. This kid's gonna go crazy and like kill people or something. And I was like the opposite of that. I was like this nice, funny, happy kid just drawing fighting stuff. But they just laughed and when they saw the pictures that I had been drawing, like the teacher was like, you need to look at these. This is really brutal stuff. And they looked at it and they're like, oh wow, this is a really good picture. Nice job, Brett.
Hey, cool.
Yeah, so they knew.
You're, they were supportive.
Yeah,
That's awesome, dude.
yeah,
My first question for you today, Brett, would be, what is your local music scene like? You have a lot of musicians in your area and a lot of
yes,
bands.
because I'm in Los Angeles, so it's just like one of the biggest music cities in the country and in the world. I haven't lived here very long. I'm originally from Sacramento, up north in California. So I've been here since July of last year. So I've been to a bunch of shows, like a bunch of metal shows, and haven't seen too many local bands performances. I've seen some, but it seems like there's kind of everything is here really. Um, the metal shows have been really fun and really cool. There's some good venues that it's like consistently seems to be at like three venues for like the smaller type of clubs. Um, but otherwise, besides going to shows and stuff, I'm here. Obviously, you were talking about like other musicians and stuff. I'm here to like meet musicians and play with people and network and just gain experience doing anything cool in music here. You know, so I feel like I'm just kind of getting my feet wet as far as like the networking side of things because of like the post COVID weirdness of socializing and stuff. So but yeah, as time's gone on, I've met more and more people. Some metal people, some people that also play or that play other styles of music that are kind of in different circles. So but yeah, I'm excited to keep meeting more people.
That's awesome, man. It's always
Mhm.
good to meet people that are out there that think the same thing you do.
Yeah, like people that have a different life experience and just different tastes and whatever. You can just learn from them, whether it be through jamming or just hanging out and talking about music or talking about anything really. So it enriches your life and expands you know your consciousness to just meet more people and to like experience their take on things.
Absolutely. Makes that connection
Mhm.
a little bit more complete, kind of feeling to some.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have a guitar handy that I could check out that you like to play on the
Oh,
most?
oh, that I have to plan the most. Oh man, that's a tough one. But
Unless you got a different one you could show off, that'd be cool.
I mean, I can show you whatever. This is the one that I use like mainly in my like professional life. Um, this guitar right here, which is like a custom guitar. The body is a custom build from Warmouth, and the neck is a custom build from Musicraft out of New Jersey. And I just designed and chose the specs. That's the beauty of these things. Like you go on their website and you just kind of build your own guitar, and that's what I did. I just chose all the things that I wanted, all the details, whatever. And then once I
That's really
got everything
nice.
in the mail, I just handed it to a guitar luthier tech guy, um, and he just assembled it and helped me dial it in. And ever since, it's been like the guitar that can do basically anything, and not just like mediocre, but like do anything and sound amazing, like sound the best possible. So it's just really unique because it's like a Fender, the but it's really very Gibson like. It's got a big fat Les Paul neck on it. It's all made of mahogany, then an ebony fretboard and Les Paul pickups basically. And yeah, so I love this guitar. It's really unique and just helps me do everything that I need to do.
Is that 24 frets?
No, I'm not really a 24 fret type of player. I know like in the metal world that's like the standard. It's like everybody plays a 24 fret, but I've just always liked 22. I'm not really sure why. It just feels maybe just because it's a slightly smaller range, it feels cozier a little bit. I don't know. I've just always liked the 22. And even when I had the 24, I didn't really use that high access or those highest frets very much. But the other thing that I don't really like about the 24 frets is how it moves the neck pickup closer to the bridge, and then the neck pickup has like more of a mid-range sound and not as like dark or full or bassy as when it's placed here. So a lot of it for me is that it's just the neck pickup placement. I like it where it traditionally is.
Okay. That's interesting because I figured I would ask,
Yeah, dude. I mean, I totally get like the 24 fret thing. Visually, it makes a lot of sense because it's like 12 frets, so it's more symmetrical to your eyes. Um, but I don't know. Maybe some of it is like when I was growing up, I noticed my soloing was always really high up on the neck. And for many years, I spent a lot of time trying to spend more time on the, the lower frets where the sound is like richer. I felt like maybe I was using the highest frets kind of as a crutch. So if I could speak, um, down here and make a full story out of the notes here, then I feel like that's gonna ultimately have a fuller sound because those are fuller notes. you know
Is there any type of guitar amps that you like using the best?
I like Marshalls for well, really for anything. For let's see, I've got a nice collection of some Marshalls. I've got a 800 JCM 800, like a 1983. I've got a JCM 900. I've got the Randy Rhoads signature JMP head, and then I have two Mesas. I like Mesas too. The rectifiers. I have two triples. One's like a 2000s and one's like a late 90s. Those are the kinds of sounds that I like, and that it's no coincidence that I'm a huge Eric Rutan fan because like his taste in gear as far as like the amps and stuff is like exactly the sounds that I like to hear as well. Like mainly like the Marshall, but like also the Mesa kind of blended in with that is kind of like the for me like the perfect metal guitar tone. Um, but if you want, I could show you some more guitars because there are some fun ones that might be fun to check out.
Yeah, let's check those out.
All right, this room is just all of a sudden going to get littered with guitars all over the place, but just
Hate it.
let me go into my treasure chest here.
All right. While you're doing that, I was going to tell you I use the Line 6 Spider 2 FX amp for
There you
my
go.
sound. And it's actually quite nice because it still has some nice sounds to it.
Yeah, definitely. I had a Spider when I was a teenager, and that amp was awesome because it had like really distinct sounds that were all like really good for like a digital or like a digital type of amp. And then it had all these really cool effects too. So like you could have so much fun like playing the thing and just changing sounds all the time.
Yep, that's basically what I use for my sound. So I really get a kick out of it because the amp itself is like 13 years old. It's
Oh
new.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I used it for my vocals when I had my death metal band at the time, Obliterated Soul.
Oh, okay. That's rad. Did
And
you put some effects on your voice?
not really. It was more like a clean channel, so it was more like
Yeah.
a you know,
Yeah, for sure.
but
That would be funny to put some like flange on that or something.
it would make it sound kind of funny with the flange. I haven't tried that yet, but
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do with it.
Well, this is a Rhodes, USA Rhodes. I think it's like a 2019. This is definitely one of the. I mean, all the guitars have a beautiful tone, but like this guitar has, the tone is just ridiculous on this thing. Um, this neck pickup is a Seymour Duncan 59 that I like got. I think my dad gave it to me when I was like, a teenager or something like that. It's an 80s from the 1980s, and I just kind of hung on to it. And then when I got this guitar, I threw it in the neck here, and it just is amazing. Really, really great tone.
That's a sick guitar.
Yeah, it. It doesn't end there. I've been I've been investing.
So
This is
were you born
another Rhodes. Sorry, what were you saying?
were you born into a musical family?
Yeah. Guitar player for a father. His mom was a like classically trained singer, and there were down that family line, a lot of musicians, a lot of like classical musicians in the like my great uncles or people that I never met or anything like that. But yeah, they were classical musicians.
That's really cool.
Yeah. All right, another Rhodes. This is a 2001, so before Fender took over Jackson. I actually just got this and just got it all set up. This has an 80s pickup in it too that I got, an 80s JB that I threw in there.
I'm really digging those pickups.
The old pickups, man, yeah, they're There's definitely some mojo to him. I'm definitely a believer.
Well, you got me looking like a believer myself, man. I just seen this, so that looks really cool.
Here's a Dean USA Z, which are now like pretty much outlawed because Gibson sued Dean and said you can't make these style of guitars anymore. But holy crap, this guitar plays and sounds unreal. It's got the DiMarzio Super Distortion and then the 36th anniversary neck pickup, PAF neck pickup, and it just plays and sounds. This is probably my most pissed off sounding guitar. Like the one it's plugged in, it just it hates you, is what it sounds like. One other little funny fact is it was the 2013 NAMM, one of the NAMM showcase guitars for Dean. And so it says 2013 on the back. And then underneath that, I should probably show it to you this way. I don't know if you can see that. And then here, that's Michelangelo Badio. That's Michelangelo Badio's signature, the ambidextrous shredder guitar player. He signed this guitar.
Oh yeah, that guy. That's sick, dude.
So the original owner got it signed, and then I just bought it from him, and it had the signature on it. So
I didn't know that Gibson and Dean had a little confrontation about guitars.
It's been a battle that we've all been kind of watching very closely. I get why they're doing it on their business side of things, but as a fan of the Dean guitars, it sucks because not that I need any more, as you'll see, but I truly like love this guitar and the Dean, like the nice Deans they're just so good, man. The tone is good, the playability is really special. They've got like a fat neck, but it's like a V-shaped neck. Okay. So it's very comfortable. You get the fat neck tone, but the playability is really good. All right, we're almost through these things. This is another Z. This is kind of the one that started me off on my whole Dean hoarding addiction. Same year, 2013. And he has an even fatter neck. It's a huge neck on this guitar. But yeah, this thing is a beaut. It's a brutal sounding guitar.
That's a sick looking guitar.
Yeah, that's a great guitar.
I like the color of it. Kind of reminds me of like a Starburst a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of call that guitar the juice guitar because it looks like it's made of juice, and the tone is very rich in its mid range, a juicy mid range. It's like the same finish really, but this is a 2000s like Korean Dean that I kind of like got the Nile pickups in it. This is like an Invader in the bridge, which is like the pickup they always use, and then pearly gates in the neck. But these are really cool Korean guitars you could get for pretty cheap, but play and sound really good. I'll show you awesome. One more, and then we'll call it a day there.
Hey, no sweat, bud. No sweat.
Because there's more, but I don't need to show everything.
Yeah, I understand, but I do appreciate it.
Acoustics and stuff, Here's another Dean Z. This is like early 2010s Korean Chicago Flame series. They put those emblems and stuff on the back for them. But this is a really sick guitar. It's got the Tone Zone pickup from DiMarzio in there, which is like kind of like an Eddie Van Halen-ish pickup. But yeah, this guitar is really good, really fun to play. All right, how about this last one? We'll do one more.
Sounds good, man. I got 3 electrics in my collection. I got a 6-string, a 7-string, and an 8-string.
Okay. You're covering all different ranges of strings.
I was wondering if you had any thoughts on those higher string guitars, like the 9 strings or 10 strings. I mean, have you ever tried playing those at all?
Yeah. I actually have a 7-string in there, a Schecter 7-string. So yeah, it's cool. It's what excites me about extended range is like solo guitar arrangement stuff where like you can play the bass, you can play the harmony, and you can play the melody all together. You know, like you think about like a solo jazz guitarist, that's what they're doing is they're walking bass lines, they're playing chords in between, and then they're playing a melody on top. Now, if you have like more strings, then it just gives you more range to do that. And that's actually kind of what like uh, 7 string guitars originally were designed for. I think the first ones are like South American. So for like South American like acoustic, you can get the bass rhythms going on and you can play melodies and chords and stuff too. And then like the next time I think it's seen in I guess modern times would be in jazz. The guitar player George Van Epps had a 7 string hollow body so that he could play solo guitar, walk bass lines, and et cetera, et cetera. So that excites me, but every time I pick it up, I feel like if I were to do that, I'd have to like really commit completely to that. Like, okay, 7 string, 8 string, this is it now. This is what I do. Because if I'm trying to split my brain between like a regular 6 and that, it's just I'm never gonna fully develop in that world or in that domain. So I kind of decided, well, not really decided, but for in recent years or whatever, I just keep it 6. I like the 6 more, and it's kind of a feel thing too. It's just the way the left hand just sits with the neck and the thumb placement and bending, like just everything. It just feels like home on a 6. So I just kind of keep it with the six strings.
And this guitar that you've got right now looks like a Squire.
It's a Strat. It's a Fender. It's a Japanese Fender from the mid to late '80s. This used to belong to my dad, and I inherited this guitar, and it's really cool. I got the pickups changed out. The electronics were kind of cheap, but the '80s Japanese guitars, like from Fender, are well regarded, and it's a good guitar, man. It sounds like a Strat. It sounds good. It's got that like kind of spaghetti western sound that a good Strat is supposed to have. So, all right, man. Well, that's the guitar collection.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to get me to start nerding out about guitars.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. You got to do what you got to do.
Well, when it's something that gives you a lot of joy, it's easy to start to collect.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with teaching guitar lessons?
Well, I went to music school. I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston and graduated, and then eventually moved back to like where I'm from originally, in Sacramento, California. And which there's a music scene there, but it's difficult to to like make a living as a musician there. There's just like not it's not like a hugely strong, with tons of varieties like you would expect from like a Nashville, an LA, a New York, So you kind of just have to learn how to spin a few different plates and get involved in different things, like playing gigs with multiple bands around the area. And then, another solid, stable thing to do is to teach. I didn't know that I was going to love it or really enjoy it at all. But I just decided, because I'd given some lessons just privately, like to like, friends or like acquaintances or whatever, like, and that was cool. But to teach like as like in a professional setting at like a lesson studio, I wasn't sure if I was going to dig that. But so, I just applied and got in with a place and ended up working for multiple lesson studios in that one area. And it was great, like as I continued to do it, there was, especially when you get certain students who are really like interested in it and you can tell that it like means something to them and that it's like changing their life, like when those experiences happened, then it started to mean a lot more for me, because with a certain percentage of the students, they're there just because their parents are kind of like, okay, I need you to go over here and like be out of my hair for like an hour and like take this lesson, and then we're gonna take you to karate, and then we're gonna take you to this. And a lot of times those kids, they weren't really interested or didn't really care. It's just kind of something they had to do. And that definitely can feel like a bummer when this is, music. It's like your whole life. It's what you love the most. and then to be trying to really like pass that excitement and enthusiasm onto somebody who couldn't care is a difficult thing. But anyway, long story short, there were those certain students or whatever that were like they were into it, they were in it. So so that's I guess what kind of fed my passion for it. So after teaching for some lesson studios for some time, I decided to like embark on just doing my own private business, and just market myself and whatever. And so I moved down to LA around that time when I decided to do that. So all the lessons are virtual, and I've just been kind of marketing myself on social media of different kinds, all the different apps, and whatever, and have just connected with people over time, and they've signed up, and I've had some students take lessons with me for very like pretty extended lengths of time, and some that just come to take a lesson or just to take like 1 month of lessons. They've got like simple questions or whatever. Um, but it's been great, especially the private thing, because virtually I can give lessons to anybody around the world. So I've taught people like in the Middle East. I've taught people in England. I've taught people from Germany. I've taught people from all over the U.S., people from Mexico, Canada, like all kinds of different places, and that is so cool, man. It's so cool to meet such a wide range of people around the world. So I'm definitely loving that.
Have you met anybody from Antarctica?
Not yet. I'm gonna.
I figured I'd throw that out there just because it's funny. It crossed my mind the other day. I was like, I wonder if there are any death metal bands in Antarctica. Could you
Frozen Soul
imagine?
needs to go there.
Frozen Soul.
Frozen
Good
Soul.
choice.
They need to go. They need to do a show. They need to do like their whole discography performance, like in Antarctica. You know what I mean?
In its entirety. That would take about a few days probably, but hey.
And perform
Shout
for
out.
just like a sea of penguins, and just be like.
That's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, man. I bet those penguins want their medal. Come on, man.
Oh
They're
my
starving for
God.
it.
Oh man. Could you just imagine a penguin mosh pit? That'd be hilarious.
I bet they do it, man.
Holy shit, Brett. That's great, man. I would have never even thought about that, but hey, it's good to have an imagination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sea of Penguins brought to you by Frozen Soul.
Yeah, man. I bet if we brought that up to them, they would laugh and they would be like, if we really had the opportunity, we would do it. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Yeah. I know Metallica did
That's,
that. They played there, but that's Metallica.
yeah, that's funny though. Oh my God. I hadn't laughed that hard in a minute about music. So that's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
I just, it's kind of funny. Speaking of Metallica, wouldn't you agree that James Hetfield kind of resembles the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah. Yeah. He does.
I
But the
I don't understand it.
Cowardly Lion rules, man. And so whatever. That's not I guess things could be worse. Cowardly Lion is a cool character, a cool part of cinema history. And James Hetfield is an indispensable part of metal history. So there you go.
Yeah, he's still doing his thing. A lot of people say that he should quit, but I'm like this. Hey, don't knock, man.
Yeah,
Some
why?
some some people still like the guy. I respect him. I may
Yeah,
not be a fan of Metallica still, but hey, whatever. You're still
yeah,
doing your thing, Metallica. I'm gonna keep my horns up for you, no matter what.
yeah. Well, how many we're running out of these like gargantuan sized metal bands or even rock bands that are like stadium fillers and stuff. And whatever you feel about their output past whatever time, whether for somebody that's the Black Album or it's the Loads or it's like Saint Anger or whatever, it's like they're still doing it, and that's rad, and they're just like bringing it to the people who like still want to hear that, which is obviously millions and millions of people. So whatever, like
Yeah,
let them just keep going until they don't want to do it anymore.
yeah, they still keep bringing back music from the '80s that they had written, and I'm just blown away still.
Yeah, how insane is it that Master of Puppets became a culturally relevant thing, like again for how for whatever time that would have been, like the X time. That's crazy. So that's cool if Metallica can be some kind of gateway for younger generations to be like, I like this Master of Puppets song I saw on Stranger Things. Well, what else is out there that's like that? And then all of a sudden they're listening to Megadeth or they're listening to Slayer, and then that's gonna take them to like Death and Morbid Angel and stuff. Some fraction of those kids that saw Stranger Things, they're gonna end up listening to Hate Eternal. I mean, some
Yeah,
fraction. There's got to be, right?
I wouldn't doubt that. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a fan of Stranger Things myself, and some people are like, "Oh, I don't like that show." Well,
Oh, it's a cool show.
yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I like that one, Lock and Key. Squid Game's another favorite. Still waiting for season 2 of that and season 6 of Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah, Johnny. Yeah,
Johnny Lawrence,
dude, he's the man.
he is. He
All
kicks
about
ass.
Johnny, dude.
Yep, Johnny's story this time around.
Yeah, that guy is so cool, and that character is the best. It's a perfect character.
He's smart, but he's kind of dumb in some respects, you
Yeah, he's
know?
super dumb, but like we're all kind of dumb too. Like we all, I don't know. That's he's just so relatable, you know.
Yeah, and that's what life's all about. You're always learning something new every day. I mean, people are like,
Fumbling, yeah, exactly.
there's a lot of people out there that say, "Oh, you can't teach a dog new tricks." Well, yes, you can.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
just gotta apply, you just gotta apply yourself to it, you know?
yeah, it's all desire, it's all will. I would agree with that.
Yeah, a lot of dedication, devotion, definitely a lot of discernment inside that. So
Hmm.
definitely, definitely cool stuff to think of, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Brett, what was your first memory with music? How old were you?
Ooh, first memory with music. It's hard to know if this is my memory or if it's just because there's like home video footage of it. But I feel like I can remember being going having the experience myself. But it must have been when I was like 3 or 4, like really really little. Um, as I said, I grew up with a guitarist father, so guitar music was all over the place. It was in my daily life, including like hearing and watching him play. So so who knows, like the first time I heard my dad play guitar, that Strat was the first guitar that I think I've ever seen or heard in my life, was that guitar in the closet. Um, but anyways, yeah, so the first memory that I kind of have about that was, well, I guess at my aunt and uncle's wedding, I used to have a plastic guitar, and I would just walk around with it and just be jamming to whatever was playing and pretend like I'm playing it. And I guess at my aunt and uncle's wedding, I like went on the stage and was like jamming to the music, and like everybody was like flipping out over that, like laughing and stuff like that. So I guess that was one thing, but I don't remember doing that. But the thing that I do remember doing with that plastic guitar was my favorite video to watch, to have like my parents put on for me when I was growing up, when I was that little, was Eric Johnson doing the Austin City Limits performance. And so I would just stand in front of that like all the time, and I would just jam out with this guitar, like pretend that I was playing that music. So something in between those different experiences is, I guess, the real memory. It's just hard to know because there's like pictures and there's home video footage of like of me doing that. So it's like, am I remembering that, or did I just see the pictures in the video? I don't know. But I definitely used to like lay on my like parents' bed and just daydream and stuff, like while my dad was just like shredding on the guitar.
Speaking of Eric Johnson, I would love to hear you do a cover of Cliffs of Dover someday.
Yeah, that would be a lot of work, but that could be fun. That could be fun. I don't do like I used to, like when I was growing up and like in my teens and stuff, I would like learn note for note solos, and sometimes I do that now for honestly for like social media things. Like I might like learn a solo, like a Randy Rhoads solo, and do like a video of that, for to promote my page or whatever. And it's fun. I mean, like a massive. That's like Randy Rhoads is like one of my favorite guitarists of all time. So it's not like it's pulling teeth, but I just enjoy composing and doing my own music so much that I don't like to spend a ton of time learning like other solos note for note. But if I had, if I were to pick one, that would be an awesome choice, because you do learn a lot when you learn how somebody constructed their solo, and not just the note choices, but the way that they play the notes, all the articulations, how they picked it, what techniques they used to create these phrases, whether they pick every note or they do a lot of like legato stuff. You know, you learn a different approach from all those solos. So there's something to that, but I'd kind of just rather spend time writing my own solos, you know? That's the most fun, is to create your own stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm a rhythm guitarist myself, actually.
that's
And
cool.
I play a lot of chords. So basically, what I do is I listen to my riffs after I'm done writing them and recording them for like a song. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, if I'm going to throw a solo in there, I'm going to hum it to myself and just
Yes.
take it, and then take it note for note after I record the hum,
That's
uh,
cool.
like on a voice recorder. So then I just go from there.
Yeah.
And then, hey, sometimes it works out and other times it doesn't.
Well, that's a really critical thing because like when I was like at Berkeley and I'm like studying jazz and stuff, one of the things that was really common was like with these soloists, like pianists and stuff, they would sing while they're soloing, while they're improvising, they would be singing, you know? And at first I kind of thought like it was just a flex, you know? Like, okay, like how good are you at music? You can sing while you can play. Okay, great. But really the important element of that is that by singing, you're connecting to your imagination first and foremost, what you hear in your head. And you're singing that, and then your hands are supposed to be following what is starting in your mind, being sung, and then the hands are going with that. Um, so yeah, I think like your approach and your process is totally spot on because you're just listening to what your ear naturally hears, and then you're trying to find that. So I think that's super effective to do that rather than just try to find it on the guitar. The guitar doesn't have the music, right? The music has to come from here, and then you find that on the guitar. So I think that's a very excellent strategy.
That's awesome. I appreciate your support on that.
Yeah, of course. I'm impressed. Yes, excellent.
Very cool. Very cool. So would you say that your father was your biggest influence and inspiration to become a guitarist?
Yeah, he put a guitar in my hands. He tried to do that, put a guitar in my hands and get me to like get the bug. Um, Probably when I was 8. I think he put like the nylon string in my hand, and I was just like, cool, but like, can I just go play video games? You know, like I was just kind of like a lazy, just dumb kid, just like didn't really want to try to do anything. Um, Although like what I was into at that age though, I was like into drawing, so that was kind of the thing that I would kind of absorb myself into. But so it wasn't him that ultimately gave me the bug that made me like want to play. It was actually hearing Black Sabbath for the first time when I was like 11, and I heard Iron Man, and I was just like, that is the gnarliest, craziest. Like, I was scared. I was like frightened when I heard it, you know. And I hadn't really ever heard any music that gave me that like, oh, what is that? That's scary. That's like, can you do that? You know, that kind of feeling. And then it was at that moment where like I went to him and I was like, you got to teach me how to play that, like right now. Let's go. So he kind of gave me like a dumbed down version, like a single string version that I could manage just to kind of have something to play. And then he taught me like it was like a homework assignment essentially. The first like chord, like the A minor chord in Stairway to Heaven, to start like learning how to hold all that down was very difficult. So you know, like I spent like an entire week just trying to hold down that stupid chord until I could do it, you know. But then after that, he never really like pushed me in any direction at all. I was kind of just off. I was going. I had the desire and the interest and the curiosity to just like carry myself after that point. And I don't think that he wanted to influence my direction. I think he just was happy that I was just on the path now. Um, but you know, he would like for Christmas or for my birthday get me like a Black Sabbath tablature book. That was my first thing that I just went all the way through and just learned every note. And then the next it was like that was Christmas, and then my birthday 6 months later it was Blizzard of Oz tab book, and then I just did the same thing, and I just went through every note because then once I heard Randy, I have. I mean, if at first I didn't get enough addiction to music and guitar from Tony Iommi, when I heard Randy, it was totally game over, and it was like I need to learn how to do that, and that's kind of been it like ever since in some form. That hunger to just try to just outdo yourself and to try to just be just grow as a musician as much as possible because that's like just so rewarding.
Yeah, in all honesty, I don't do covers. I just do little bits and pieces of people's songs, so that I know how to play a certain part of it. But at the same time, I want to stay as original as I can.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the covers. I'm not trying to dog it, but I'm just saying that like what gets me excited about picking up the guitar is writing my own riffs, writing my own solos, writing my own songs, and improvising just in general in whatever genre. But like just for promotional purposes, like it's a good idea to. I have some covers on like my YouTube channel. Like there's a cover of Megadeth Hangar 18 where I just go through and I play all the solos, all the Marty and the Dave uh, uh, solos. And there's a cover that I did that I have posted of like a playthrough of an aborted track that I used the 7 string on. So it's like it's cool and it's fun and you do learn. But again, I pick up the guitar because I'm like, what can I write? What can I create? Because that's the guitar or an instrument is just like it's like a portal into this whole universe of ideas. And so that's where I want to be is in that like universe of ideas, not necessarily in something that's already kind of like a stamped, finished, a fixed painting that's already hanging on the wall.
Pretty much the final product, yeah.
Yeah. Again,
I
I'm
can
not
definitely
dogging
do
it,
that.
but the excitement's over here for me.
I totally understand. That's an awesome answer.
Okay, good.
Are there any type of microphones that you like to use?
Yeah, yeah, so I'm not like an expert in the studio game. I'm not like a full-fledged engineer or anything like that, but I do have my own studio space. I have spent many hours in there miking my own cabs and like learning how to get a good sound. And I think I've grown to a point where I know how to get like a really good sound out of my gear. But the microphones that I have are the ones that I've been using, and I'm not versed in anything outside of that. I never took any like engineering classes or anything. So I mean, what I have is like and me and the guys in my group that we share this space, this band. We have a collection of mics between us. So we've got like a million SM57s, not really a million, more like 8 or 10, but a lot. So of course I'm used to miking my stuff with the 57 and then the Sennheiser MD 421. And usually for rhythms and stuff, it's those two. But I also have a tube microphone from I think it's Sterling Audio, which I want to say is like a Guitar Center brand. Like it's a brand of products that Guitar Center like owns or something. And I bought it when I actually had a job there when I was like late teens, and so you got discounts and stuff. So one of the things I got was that tube microphone, and it's a really cool mic. And what's cool about it too is like it just has a lot of options. You can like flip the cardioid pattern to where you can make it like 180 or 360, and it's got other like pad options and stuff on it. It's a really pretty cool microphone. But that's kind of it. I mean, those are the only tools that I've really for miking guitar that I've really played around with. As far as miking drums and um, the other guys are kind of on that. That's like their sort of task and their responsibility to try to hone. And I don't envy them because it's extremely complicated, it's seeming to mic up a drum kit and get the best out of it. So, but it's been cool seeing them progress in their knowledge of that. But they are using my 421, I think, on one of the toms, which is like a common known application for that microphone. It's like really great on toms.
Is there any song that you could think of in the world that would be the longest song you've ever heard? For
Probably a
me,
song that I wrote.
okay,
No,
just as
the longest song that I've ever heard. Well, I guess it would have to be Bell Witch off of Mirror Reaper. Isn't that one song that release? I think it's just one track and it's like an hour or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so good. Oh my God. Ugh. I've listened to that album a good amount of times. And it's so like it feels like a therapy session, honestly. It feels like there's so much like emotional release in it. Uh that it's just when you're done with that record, like you feel kind of healed in some aspect of it because it helps you release a lot of these like really like stuffed in kinds of like emotions and stuff. I really like respect that piece of art. But anyways, yeah, it's like an hour. Otherwise, wouldn't it have to be some kind of classical piece or something? You know, like an entire symphony or an opera or something. You know.
I figured I would ask because for me personally, the longest song that I ever heard was 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence by Dream Theater. And they did it in 8 different parts, but at the same time, they consider it as 42 minutes in length.
Oh yeah, I used to like my musical taste. Like I these days creatively, I'm in a death metal band, and that's like the music that I'm expressing myself through. That's like the form of music. But like in the past, I've really been into like a lot of progressive types of bands, progressive rock or fusion or whatever. So a lot of the songs that I used to write, they would end up exceeding 10 minutes with no problem. Like 10 minutes would feel short, you know. I don't know why. It's just like you just it's a long form, you know, so you just build up like there's like maybe like three main chapters of a story, but there's a lot going on within each chapter, all these various sections and counterpart sections and stuff, and then that moves into a new chapter with its own kind of, you know. But after a while, to me, that whole approach got a little tiresome because I didn't even want to be listening to music that long, or let alone write something that long. So
Yeah, that would be very strenuous.
playing it live was hilarious because the band that I'm talking about, my old project, my old like kind of creative endeavor, was a band called The Mindful up in Sacramento, and we were like a trio, like kind of like a progressive fusion rock trio, I guess would be the way to put it. And we would have like because we would play like three sets in a night, and it would be like a 4 hour show, you know. So we just need to fill time because the more time we can stretch out, the less time we have to do to play other songs that maybe are like covers that we don't really want to do, but we have to just to fulfill the show, you know. So we, we would have these really long songs, and it'd be like, okay, guys, it's 11:45. You know, we've got 15 minutes left, so that means we got one song left. All right, guys, thanks a bunch. We'll see you next time. You know, everybody would start cracking up because it's like you guys are about to play a 15-minute long song. Like, I'm gonna go get a beer. You know? But that was kind of the thing. I think the attitude of that was like, we don't really care because this is for us. This isn't really for you. Maybe not the best business strategy to bring in a crowd, but again, if we were thinking business, we probably wouldn't be playing prog fusion rock, you know, type of music. We'd be playing something that, you know, people dance to and whatever, you know.
Back to when we were talking about, playing guitar and coming up with chord structures and stuff like that. What I found to be interesting about the guitar playing that I have done in my life, I know I have a hard time with guitar solos, like I was telling you before, but there's been times where I'll hear a guitar solo in a band. Like for an example, Fermented Opal Discharge by Necrophagist.
Mm-hmm.
That solo is amazing. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to play on guitar, but I can whistle it. So I'm thinking to myself, well, if I can whistle it, that's pretty good. But
Yeah, I mean
you
that's a
don't
lot of
hear too many people
information.
do that. You know,
What'd you say?
you don't hear too many people doing that in music nowadays is whistling.
Yeah, that's true. It's underutilized. Who knows though, man? Everything's cyclical. The whistle might come back and be like the new in vogue thing.
It's kind of funny because my grandfather used to say to me, "Hey, Alex, why don't you eat the crust on your toast? It'll help you whistle better." And I'm just thinking to myself, is that really possible?
That's so funny. I've never heard
I
anybody say that. That's amazing.
I mean, I took his word for it when I was a kid, but nowadays I'm thinking to myself, Did that really just happen?
Wouldn't you? Yeah, I feel like it would be the opposite because you'd need moisture, you know,
Mhm.
like you'd want like wet lips or something, like take a sip of water or tea or something like that.
Yeah, it's good to be hydrated, you
Yeah,
know.
of course. That's
I
funny
would,
though.
so do you do vocals or just guitar?
Well, I do. I am a singer. I would say that like I'm not necessarily a trained singer. I mean, I've had voice lessons, um, but as far as like screaming and stuff, no. I've tried to do it and I didn't really get very far. I'm sure if I really like was like, okay, I'm not going to like step out of this room until I can do a proper growl. Like if I really put my mind to it, I feel like I could learn how to do it or figure it out or whatever. But I've just been kind of part of me is happy to just be a guitar player again. Because that band I was talking about before, the Mindful, I was the singer of the band. Um, Out of just necessity, I just wanted to keep it a trio, and I was writing the lyrics, and it was my project, so I was into singing, um, and I got interested in singing late. So I got interested in singing when I was like, I want to say at the end of high school, maybe, or early, like when I was like 19 or something like that. I was listening to certain bands and artists where the vocals were really resonating with me, and like Radiohead. I was a huge got into Radiohead and like Neil Young. At the time, those were like my two favorite artists, really. And so I would just constantly sing to those albums, and I developed technique by just matching essentially the vibrato, the bends, and the kind of articulations in their vocals, as well as trying to see if I could approach the tone of their voice by manipulating my voice to do that. So like I learned enough to kind of become my own singer, but obviously I never took it to the extent of study and dedication and persistence that I have for the guitar. But I still have those skills, and I still like sing harmony in some of the projects and stuff that I'm involved in. I'll sing harmony. I probably will end up singing lead for some of the songs in some of these bands too. But with the Mindful, it was a lot of work. Like I said, long progressive fusion songs with lots of parts, and they were all charted. And I'm singing, and I'm changing tones with my feet on the pedals. It was so many things. It was like doing this, but like times like 50. And then after a while, it's just kind of like once that project kind of started to, once I started getting more focused on other stuff, it was kind of like, yeah, I could just play guitar again. That would be nice. So
Mhm.
that's kind of all I focused on. But the door's open. Like in the future, if I want to get back into singing and go and really kind of like develop it further, then I will. But for right now, it's not my priority.
Yeah, I hate to laugh, but it was just so funny how you described that times 50, pan your head and rubbing your belly. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, that's funny. That's a good way to do it though.
I
You know?
had a lot of pedals on my board at that time, because the band it had a big like psychedelic element. So like tones and textures and a variety of sounds was like really required to make all the different sections stand out
Mhm.
from each other, as well as like the songs stand out. Like there would be certain songs that featured chorus, and then there would be other songs that didn't use any chorus but like had fuzz. So just trying to keep it fresh for the ears so that it doesn't get old, because it's for a lot of people going to get old fast because
Yeah, you were pretty much all over the place.
sometimes with 2 feet, like at the same time as switching my pickup, going from the bridge to the neck, 2 feet at the same time, still singing in harmony. Like it's just too much. It's like I don't want to do all that crap.
Yeah, that's a
I just
lot
want to
of,
be like headbanging and just do it like how Dimebag had, and have like some tech, like your buddy, just go for you, so you could just like not be interrupted.
mhm, that makes sense.
That's the dream.
Sounds cool, Brett. Well, my last question for you, Brett. I would like to first tell you thank you for your time today. To
Oh, my
everybody
pleasure, man.
else, to everybody else, I would appreciate it if you go out and support my friend Brett Vaughn here. I've known him for a while now, so he's a really cool dude. I would appreciate it. Support Underground Noise Webzine. Subscribe to the channel with the thumbnail that you see in the bottom right corner. I would really appreciate it. And if you like this video, please like it. Feel free to comment, share it with your friends. You know, I would appreciate all the support you guys can throw at me. I support every underground musician that's out there as much as I can. And Brett, thanks for your time today. Do you have any last words for Underground Noise Webzine?
Well, just thank you so much. It's been a total pleasure just sitting here chatting. It's just been fun, just hanging out, talking about guitars and music, and again, I just appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. I'm glad you could be a part of the show today.
Yeah.
Keep your horns up, everybody.
Yeah.